In 2002, two aircrafts collided midair in Germany. You may be wondering if midair collision is possible. You see, on July 1, 2002, two planes were involved in a catastrophic midair collision near Überlingen, Germany, a tragic event that claimed 71 lives. The incident was a result of a chain of errors, miscommunications, and failures in procedures. The two aircraft involved were a Russian Bashkirian Airlines Tupolev Tu-154 and a DHL Boeing 757 cargo plane. The disaster unfolded at the end of a busy summer evening, with both planes having their own separate fates tied together by a fatal series of mistakes. The first plane, the Tupolev Tu-154, was a scheduled flight from Moscow to Barcelona, carrying 69 people, including 57 passengers and 12 crew members. On board were mostly children heading to Spain for a summer camp. The aircraft had been in the air for several hours and had already begun its descent into Barcelona when the crew was diverted to a new flight path. The decision was based on air traffic control, ATC, instructions due to congestion at Barcelona's airport, forcing the flight to reroute. The Tupolev was being handled by a relatively inexperienced crew. The pilot had just joined the airline and lacked extensive experience on the Tu-154, which made him vulnerable to the complex procedures of flying in congested airspace. As they flew toward Germany, the aircraft was handed over to the German air traffic control system. The German ATC sector, in charge of the traffic, was busy, handling numerous flights, many of which were descending, all making their way toward busy European airports. The second plane, the DHL Boeing 757, was a cargo flight traveling from Brussels to Bahrain. It was a standard freight operation, carrying goods but no passengers. The plane was piloted by two experienced crew members, a captain and a first officer. They were also descending, flying toward the same airspace near Überlingen, albeit from a different direction, heading towards Stuttgart. Their plane had been given an altitude clearance to descend to 8,000 feet by air traffic controllers, while the Tupolev, with which it would soon cross paths, was at an altitude of 9,000 feet. At the heart of the disaster was the air traffic control system. The controllers in charge of the two planes, both at the Swiss and German sectors of the air traffic network, were supposed to keep the planes safely separated by using radar systems to monitor their positions. However, a serious miscommunication occurred when a controller, distracted by other tasks, failed to properly monitor the separation between the two planes. Meanwhile, the flight crews of both planes remained unaware of the imminent danger. The Tupolev crew had been given the order to descend and did so without questioning it, believing they were safely separated from other aircraft. The DHL crew, likewise, had no idea they were on a collision course with the Tupolev. Communication between the air traffic controller and the crews was poor, with misunderstandings and delayed responses. The radar system that was supposed to alert the air traffic controllers about the proximity of the two planes was malfunctioning. The system did not trigger the necessary alarms to warn the controller of the impending collision. In fact, it was a blind spot in the radar system's coverage that prevented the controller from seeing the positions of both planes accurately. Because of this, the controller could not detect that the two aircraft were on a converging path and at dangerously close altitudes. As the two planes continued their descent, the captain of the DHL aircraft became aware of the proximity of the Tupolev only when the first officer noticed the aircraft's lights through the cockpit window. At this point, it was too late to avoid a collision. The crew of the Boeing 757 immediately initiated an emergency climb to try to avoid the Tupolev, but they were too close to make any meaningful maneuvers in time. Simultaneously, the Tupolev crew also became aware of the danger as they saw the DHL aircraft approaching. However, they were still in the process of descending and did not have enough altitude or time to pull out of the dive. The pilots of the Tupolev attempted to climb back to avoid the collision, but they were too late as well. At 22:35:25 UTC, the two planes collided. The impact was catastrophic. The Boeing 757's right wing struck the Tupolev's left wing, causing an immediate and violent fire. The Tupolev broke apart almost instantly, with parts of the fuselage plummeting to the ground below. The Boeing 757's tail section was torn off, and the remainder of the aircraft spiraled out of control before crashing. Both aircraft exploded mid-air in a fiery blaze, with no survivors. The collision took place over the small town of Überlingen, Germany, and the wreckage fell across a large area of forest and fields. Rescue crews rushed to the site, but there was little they could do. All 71 people on board the two aircraft were killed, including 57 passengers on the Tupolev, most of whom were children, and 2 flight crew members on the DHL aircraft. The collision not only shattered the lives of the victims' families, but also marked a somber day in aviation history. The investigation into the cause of the disaster revealed a combination of human errors, inadequate communication, and failures in air traffic control procedures. The lack of a proper warning system, the controllers' failure to monitor the traffic effectively, and the pilot's unawareness of the looming danger all contributed to the tragedy. The malfunctioning radar system and the busy airspace further complicated the situation, making it difficult for the controller to separate the aircraft. The Überlingen collision led to significant changes in aviation regulations. One of the major outcomes was the implementation of the TCAS, Traffic Collision Avoidance System, on all commercial aircraft. This system was designed to prevent such collisions by providing automatic warnings to pilots if another aircraft is on a collision course, giving them an opportunity to take corrective action. In addition, air traffic control procedures were reformed to ensure better communication and coordination between controllers in busy airspace, and to enhance the safety protocols for separating aircraft. The disaster also highlighted the need for more thorough training for both air traffic controllers and flight crews to ensure they were prepared for emergencies and could respond swiftly to changing circumstances. In the aftermath, there was an industry-wide push for improvements in safety systems, pilot training, and communication practices. The 2002 Überlingen Midair collision remains a tragic reminder of the importance of vigilance, communication, and safety in aviation. The loss of 71 lives due to a series of avoidable mistakes was a turning point in the efforts to improve aviation safety. Though no one can bring back the lives lost that night, the lessons learned from the disaster have led to significant strides in preventing similar accidents in the future.